This was a weird week. I have these competing narratives in my head that want to tell you that nothing happened because I got sick. And also, so much actually happened. And not only happened to me, but that I affected, like I did things. My name is Rochelle. If you're new here, I am an editor and author and musical writer who is documenting both a 12-week year journey and an artist's way journey here on YouTube. Right now is the end of my third week going through the artist's way, and what a week it was. But part of the artist's way is going through and doing a check-in at the end of every week. I like to do it on YouTube. There's a little bit of accountability here and a way to share my journey with you if you are also going through this. It is an incredibly vulnerable process. I say this as somebody who has done a lot of therapy, has been living as an artist for a while. Like, I wasn't disconnected from my ability to create art, and yet there was still a little bit of something holding me back. And it's still hard, it's still vulnerable. And this week was a big reminder of how difficult this work can be, like inner work and supporting your inner child. But let's go ahead and do the check in according to the questions they ask. We get one more question this week, and it's going to be where I spend most of my time. So the first is, how many days did I do my morning pages? I am telling myself I did 7. On Sunday, I was extremely sick. Technically, probably something I caught from my child, but if you watched last week's video about the artist's way, I had pushed myself to my limit. It probably compromised my immune system and made it easier for me to catch what my daughter had. And anyway, I spent all day on Sunday in bed doing intentional bed rotting so that I could actually recover. But I did ask for my morning pages journal to be brought to me, and I managed half a page over the course of an hour, but I tried. So I'm saying that I did my morning pages for 7 days because I tried. It's weird. Recently, I've been feeling like I get about a page and a half, and that's the end of my ruminating. It's like I'm ruminating less now that I'm 21-ish days into doing morning pages. I get to there and I'm like, that's all I really have to say right now. And I've been doing a little bit of just prepping for my day, what projects I want to focus on, and so on, in addition to whatever is on my mind. So I feel like my mind is kind of calming down a little bit. It's actually become pretty important to me. I have never, excepting being sick, literally, like, I'm not getting out of bed the entire day. I haven't wanted to miss them, which is really nice. Like, I haven't been sitting there when my alarm goes off and being like, oh, I should want to sleep for 5 more minutes, or waiting for my 10-minute snooze like I was often doing when it was yoga in my morning. For this, I'm like, oh yeah, time to get up. We'll see if it lasts. I usually can make it 30 days writing early in the morning before I start to be like, yeah, I'm kind of over this. And with vacation next week, that'll be next 2 weeks, 2 weeks till vacation. It will definitely put a test in my morning pages, but for now, it's going well. The next question is if I did my artist date, what I did, and how it felt. I was struggling with this for most of the week because I wasn't feeling well. I was technically better by Monday evening, but better is not the same thing as myself. And I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I don't have the energy. I have to pause walking up the stairs in my townhouse. Like, this is not the kind of energy I want to bring to an artist date. But finally, yesterday, I was thinking about what this week is about. The third week does a lot of reconnecting to not your inner artist, but your literal inner child. Thinking about who you were as a kid, honoring that, and thinking about the ways that you can connect to that. Just due to a bunch of circumstances growing up, I never really had a space of my own. I had my own room, but my mom ran a daycare, so I was often renting out my room to kids to sleep and that sort of thing. I lived on my own for a year and a half, but I knew that I was going to be getting married soon, and I had no extra money anyway. I was in the middle of trying to get all my student debt paid off, prepare for a wedding, pay for that in cash, etc. Also, like, the fact that I could live on my own on 15.50 an hour 15 years ago. Anyway, I never really made that apartment my own because it felt temporary. And then since then, I've been married, and I've been married to somebody who really doesn't understand the point of decorating. So I have my office now, and clearly I have worked on making it my own. But I do share it with my cat, who I'm allergic to, and I still don't feel as welcome in this space as I could because I can't like do yoga as often. I can't leave my yoga mat out because the cat will get to it. When I'm in here too much, I sneeze. Those kinds of things make it feel a little bit less my own. And like I chose to get a cat, that was on me, but the point stands. Anyway, all of that was part of the homework this week, and it made me think that I should go into Dreamlight Valley and spend my artist date decorating. And so I spent like 3.5 hours last night just redecorating one of the biomes in Dreamlight Valley exactly how I wanted to, doing something I'd been wanting to for a while. I wanted to make it look like a Beauty and the Beast village with like little cottages and then the castle in the distance. And I did. It was really nice to think of that as a way of honoring a room of my own, to quote Virginia Woolf. Even though it's a digital space, it still felt like a way that I could recognize the ways that I wanted to have a space to decorate however I want to with nobody to answer to. So that is what I did for my artist date this week. And it was fun enough that I'm doing this video early in the day so I have time to do it again tonight. Now, the next question is where things get interesting. It's asking if I experienced any synchronicity this week. In synchronicity or serendipity, fortunate accidents happen, things come together. Cat. The universe just feels like it's working itself out in your favor. And I had a lot of really cool things happen this week, actually. The first and most important, if you've been following along, especially in my 12-week year journey, is that I had applied to a job in like February. Corporate, like getting back into the workforce after 10 years away from it. And this week I found out I got the job. I'm going to start in 3 weeks after I get back from my vacation, and it's going to change how things look a little bit for me. But I think most of this changes for the better. And when I applied for this, I was already thinking of it as, first of all, the job I'm going to enjoy. Like, no doubt about it. It's something that it's what my skills are built up for, it's what my experience is in. I'm going to enjoy the job. But in terms of this, in terms of the artist's work, I'm thinking of having a steady paycheck, especially in times like we're in right now, I think will give me the mental and financial freedom to be an artist. In a lot of ways, I think giving myself this opportunity to support myself and not rely on my husband's income is going to give me the freedom and the permission to be the artist that I've been trying to be all along. So that happened. And also, I was excited. I was really happy because I had really hoped, based on the way that the conversations were going, that the job was going to be mine. But I didn't find myself celebrating. And within a couple of hours, I'd kind of forgotten it happened. I chalked it up at first to ADHD and time blindness, and I don't start for 3 weeks, therefore it's not real, therefore there's nothing to celebrate kind of issue. Plus, I was sick. Someone's like, "Are you going out to dinner?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. Food sounds terrible." Like, this is not how I want to celebrate right now. But I also realized that I needed to do a little bit of mourning first, because when I quit my first corporate job, I liked the job. I was mostly enjoying it, especially the people I'd been working with for a while. But I had been picking up a little bit of freelance work, and I had a baby. I had a 9-month old, and I was finding it impossible to work full time in office, freelance on the weekends and the evenings, and be a mother. I felt like I didn't even know my daughter, that she was 9 months old at the time I decided to quit. And I felt like I'd missed half her life because the busy season in the freelance stuff I was doing lasted like 4 months. And I'm like, you're sitting up, you're starting to babble, you're talking, and I feel like I've missed it. You've gone from blob to person, and I wasn't even there for it. And that really frustrated me. I didn't want to be that kind of parent. And so I walked away. And I didn't walk away particularly happily. Like, I mean, I was excited. I really wanted to make a career in writing, particularly. But I was like, I know that in this season I need to be a parent first. And then the week that I quit, which I waited 3 months after putting in notice so that they could replace me and everything. But by the time, within 3 days of quitting, I found out I was pregnant with my second. And for the last 10 years, I have been building a freelance business with varied success. I have written 7 novels. I've been here talking about productivity and ADHD and different things on Medium as well. I've been exploring songwriting. I've written a musical. I've done a lot. But the primary thing that I've done for the past 10 years is parent. It's always my priority, making sure I can take the kids to appointments. And those first 5 years, like, especially because the first 5 years of my kids' lives just about ended in 2020. Like, I was going to the library, I was taking them to early morning gymnastics classes. We were reading together, we were playing together. And now my oldest is going to middle school. And my youngest has had some high support needs that we've got managed, and they don't need me as much. And I think I had to mourn that before I could be excited about the next chapter in my life. So I did. I spent some time thinking about the ways that life changes when you've finished a project. And that's really, I guess, more what it felt like. It wasn't that I'm sad my kids are growing up, it feels completed. Like, I mean, I'm not particularly religious, but I am posting this on Good Friday, and I grew up very religious. Like, it feels like the quote from Paul: I fought the good fight and I finished the race, and here I am. I can go back to a more corporate position, which admittedly I'm still going to be doing from home to the extent that I can because my kids don't need me as much, but they still are not old enough to be left alone after school, and they get out of school very early, etc. But anyway, that's where that was at. And it feels really relevant to the artist's way work for reasons I can't explain, but that's part of it, I guess. I've also had a bunch of really cool things happening with some of the music that I've written and projects that I've been involved with for 12 years that I can't talk about yet. That hopefully next week I will be able to share some of my involvement in the things that I've been doing this week. I was buried in a project that I was loving, and that felt really synchronous in that things that I've been putting in place for years are finally working out. I sent sheet music to my collaborator and he's excited about it, which is really exciting for me. It's going to be a bit before I get anything back, but I've been making so much artistic progress even while I'm sitting back and doing this more thinking work. And in my, like, I feel like I've just been sick all week, but really I've been doing so much and so much artistically that it's kind of hard to wrap my mind around. Like, I've written several songs this week. I've worked on another one that has been mostly done for a while. I don't know. I don't do a good job recording my own significance, my own things that I get done. Once they're done, they just disappear. The last question is about if there's any other issues in that it feels significant to my recovery, and I feel like I've touched on that. I've thrown around the idea of how related to overcoming some of my internal demons this getting sick was, even though, like I said, like from a scientific perspective, I can trace my daughter was sick and then I was sick. This makes sense. I was her caregiver. But at the same time, there were aspects of it that really, really sucked, but I was in my right mind the whole time besides being exhausted. And I felt like I had space to think, and I'm a person who thrives with space to think. And then this week turned into a lot of wonderful things happening. I start a new job soon, and I have music collaborators, and I have other projects that I am involved in. And I'm still, a week later, not regretting putting myself out there when it comes to looking for creative endeavors that I think I would be a good fit for. And I guess that's really what the artist's way is all about, is finding a way to be the artist and not just think about doing the art at some point. We'll see you next week.